Man, it's a pretty good time to be a Star Wars fan these days, hey?
Oh yeah, you've got things like The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and a bunch of pretty cool animated shows as well.
Yeah, it'd be really awesome to talk about them, hey?
Oh yeah, it'd be awesome to talk about Star Wars stuff.
Oh, well, lucky for you, I found us a low-budget Star Wars ripoff. You know what that means, right?
Yeah, we're gonna talk trash about trash.
So, today we're discussing The Humanoid from 1979, an extremely low-budget Italian science fiction film directed by Aldo Lado.
We're discussing so many Italian films, man. We might as well call ourselves Ravioli Productions.
Ravioli, ravioli, what's in the pocket? Oh,
Hey, don't blame me. Blame the Italian B-movie industry, hey?
Yeah, true. If you want to find a good film that's almost like an American movie, go Italian.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some really awful ones, like the infamous Alien 2, which we've spoken about in the past. But yeah, I only found this movie because I was reading up about knockoff Italian sci-fi films, and I stumbled across a website that mentioned this one. What American movie do you think maybe The Humanoid was riffing on when you first switched it on, Nathan?
Well, it looks kind of like Star Wars.
Only kinda? I mean, that's the understatement of the century. And to make the connections to George Lucas's 1977 film even more ridiculous, do you know what name is credited as the director on this film? I mean, it's a pseudonym for the real director.
Oh, what was his pseudonym?
George Lewis.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme. Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
What about this movie screams Star Wars to you, Nathan? Because it's pretty subtle to me.
Oh my god, the models, like, their main enemy ship, the Star Destroyer ship, looks just like a Star Destroyer, the top's slightly different.
Oh, absolutely. Every ship kind of looks like a Star Wars ship.
Everything's like a real budget version, but it's so good.
It doesn't help they're trying to recreate the epic opening of the original Star Wars, which just shows way too much detail on the crappy models.
What a piece of junk!
Talk about just that opening shot. What about when it zooms in and they try to do like a fancy shot down through the window of the ship and it just looks so janky.
I need to find the distributor for this movie specifically because of that shot, because they owe me a new computer monitor because I did a spit take. I was taking a drink when that happened. Look, for the budget they had, I reckon they were just happy to have anything on film, hey?
it worked. It worked.
Then of course you've got like sex shop Vader, so that's basically Vader on his way to an S&M ball.
Oh yeah, he's got like a gimp mask kind of thing going on.
Well, bring out the gimp.
Yeah, it's like crossed with Lord Helmet from Spaceballs. His helmet's huge.
Yes! His helmet is absolutely massive, and I love that he's got fur-trimmed gloves and cloak. It's so Vader, I'm shocked they didn't get sued. Like, his silhouette is exactly the same.
Yeah, oh no, and it's obviously, he's even got a little panel on his chest with buttons on it, randomly.
Randomly? Excuse me, Nathan. That controls his superpower at the end of the movie, which is where I'm sure most of the budget went.
You're saying this movie had a budget?
Oh, hey, come on, it's not that bad. It's definitely worth the wait to see his powers at the end. So what is the plot for this one, Nathan?
Have you seen Star Wars: A New Hope? It's that. It's Star Wars.
I mean, technically you're not wrong. There's definitely a lot of Star Wars in this, but like a lot of low-budget films, that plot's not really used that effectively. Like, there's so many threads that don't really add up to anything. And there's also a bit of other genre films sprinkled throughout. Like, it sounds strange, but some of this movie reminds me of something like The Mummy or even Frankenstein.
Yeah, a bit of Frankenstein. Yeah, a bit of Frankenstein in there. Maybe that's more because of the actor. But anyway.
Oh, Nathan, poor Richard Kiel. Look, he's one of the main stars of this one, and he's probably most famous for playing Jaws in the James Bond films. He's actually top billed for the whole movie, which is a bit weird given his screen time.
He doesn't show up for, what, 20 minutes?
Yeah, maybe even 30, which is kind of of sad because even though Kiel ends up playing a big lumbering monster for most of the movie, hence the Frankenstein comparison, he's actually pretty good in a lot of scenes before they take away his dialogue.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I was like, wow, he's actually like, when you give him a chance, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's playing a charming Han Solo-esque character who even has a quirky robot dog sidekick instead of Chewbacca.
Robo puppy receiving petting.
But yeah, the general setup for this movie involves two warring brothers, one bad and one good. The good brother, who lives on Earth, is somewhat creatively called the Great Brother. How would you describe his character?
Yeah, he's really boring. He's got nothing on old, what is it, Darth Sex Shop?
Oh, you mean Sex Shop Vader?
Sex Shop Vader.
That gets you every time. If we're going to get through this review, you're going to have to get over that, eh?
Which won't be an easy task.
But yeah, Sex Shop Vader and the Great Brother are estranged siblings, and the two of them don't really get along because Vader wants to take over the universe, I guess?
Yeah, something like that. No, he's trying to impress Lady Dominatrix, who doesn't show up for ages.
Oh, yes, who does nothing for the plot.
Yeah, no, she just shows up in a random scene where all of a sudden there's full frontal nudity and a chick gets all her blood sucked out of her in this vicious machine. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
That's right, and they're just kind of like, this is what keeps her young.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool, this will have a payoff in some way. No, spoilers, at the end of the movie, she just doesn't get her serum and she turns into a spooky skeleton.
A skeleton, yeah.
Like, no one even questions why it happens. Like, she could be some kind of rare alien or something.
Our most pressing concern now is determining who owns such a valuable skeleton, and I'd like to suggest that I do.
Hey, wait.
But yeah, Sex Shop Vader sends a squadron of stormtroopers to Earth to assault a research base, and it's here we get our first taste of the action in this movie.
Oh man, the massacre. Holy crap, they kill everyone. And they like close and lock a door. They just shoot through it with the laser and blow the door to bits. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like, holy crap.
It's so funny. I was actually thinking of that scene in Star Wars Episode 1 where the Jedi cut their way through a door to escape poison gas. And I was sitting there going, they ripped George Lucas off, so maybe he ripped them off with his later Star Wars movies.
Yeah, because there is a scene where they get trapped in with gas as well. Oh my god, George Lucas has definitely seen this film.
For legal reasons, that's a joke. For legal reasons, that's a joke.
But yeah, those stormtroopers are there for two reasons. The first is to kill a woman called Barbara, which we'll talk about a little later. But the other reason is to steal a mineral for a mad scientist that can turn people into superweapon monsters called humanoids. But humanoid just means something like a human. So he's turning humans into human-like humans?
He's more human. More human than a human?
Oh, only if that human is a growling monster.
This is a human. This is what we look like. This is what we act like.
Around this time, we introduce our main... Well, he's not really an antagonist. Well, he starts off as a good dude, Jaws.
Yeah, but he's quickly turned into a humanoid by the mad scientist in Sex Shop Vader after they crash his ship somehow.
Yeah, they say something about magnets or something, and then he just crashes in a lake.
Yeah, and the actual conversion process is pretty blunt. It's not like they do it in a lab or anything.
He shoots him with the rocket. I'm like, what's the rocket for? And then he just blows him up and he crawls out of the lake as a humanoid. I'm like, what?
Hey, neither one of us are scientists, so we don't know. Maybe that's how it works.
A few moments later.
Yeah, then we pretty much get 30 minutes or so of the humanoid just wreaking havoc, which sounds entertaining, but it's honestly pretty bland and boring.
Yeah, that's the thing. That action scene where everyone's just shooting, he kind of just walks around and throws people. There is a scene where he picks a guy up and swings him around like a bat and hits some other people. That was awesome.
Apparently, becoming a humanoid means you get the power to turn people into bad dummies. Like, I know they're trying to set him up to be this, like, huge badass who's completely unstoppable, but you've only got to compare this scene to something like, say, Vader attacking the ship at the end of Rogue One. Like, that's genuinely intimidating. But in this, he kind of just walks around lazily from here to there and throws a few punches along the way.
Yeah, well, that's always a thrilling action scene when a character can just stand there and get shot and he doesn't have to dodge or hide or duck or use any maneuvers. Just stand there. It'll be fine.
This is...
What?
This is boring.
I guess we kind of have to talk about the second part of the plot now, and I use the term plot very loosely here. But we have this character called Barbara, who the mad scientist hates because she dobbed him in for wild experiments when he worked on Earth.
Why do you hate her so much? She destroyed years of my work. Only her death can satisfy me. I am certain we shall have another opportunity.
But she has a little student she's teaching called Tom Tom, who is, how do I say this, a very weird character for a movie like this.
Like, he calls her in the office and he says some random gibberish and she leaves and then meets up with him and he keeps spouting random stuff like a weird cultist.
May your essence return to your body. Let me reach into your heart and into your soul.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, and apparently she doesn't even know anything about him because she keeps commenting on how strange he is and how she doesn't know where he's come from or what he's doing. And it's like, lady, who asked you to teach this kid? Why are you teaching him? Did he just show up?
Yeah, exactly. It's just this mysterious child that she listens to all the time. I'm like, what? Is this a Jedi mind trick? Or...
I don't know if he's a Jedi, but he certainly has some strange powers. Like when Jaws finally shows up on Earth to be used as a weapon to kill Sex Shop Vader's brother, the mad scientist who created him changes his programming to kill his nemesis. And I know this sounds weirdly convoluted, that's because it is. But look, the point of this is Tom Tom uses his magic powers to turn the humanoid good again, and then he shows off some other stuff he can do.
Such as summoning guys with bows that shoot lightsabers?
Minyar, Tutsu, Loksar, Chak Horiyak.
Oh, look, I'm not Hawkeye from the Marvel movies, nor am I Robin Hood or any other famous kind of archer, but I have a feeling that's not really possible, hey?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to pull that back and fire it.
Like, that lightsaber's going to cut through the string.
Yeah, in your hand.
Incredible. This has to be some sort of magic.
Yeah, but even with all this help, Barbara Gordon gets kidnapped by the bad guys, and we essentially get a big chunk of Star Wars and New Hope where they have to rescue Princess Leia. But instead of Luke, Han, Chewie, Obi-Wan, C-3PO, and R2-D2, we have Tom Tom, Robo-Dog, the Humanoid, and Hero Man, who is a character we saw for 1 second earlier and is now apparently the hero of the movie despite doing nothing.
Yeah, done nothing. That's the theme. Done nothing.
He's literally there just to be the hero at the end. Like, Sex Shop Vader even straight up just calls him the hero in dialogue.
No one can stop me now, princely hero.
The last 30 minutes of this movie are pretty much non-stop action, but it's not all about rescuing Barbara, it's also about putting a stop to Sex Shop Vader from firing a big missile filled with the humanoid element at Earth. Why does he want to do this, Nathan?
They're going to turn everyone into humanoid for some reason.
Yeah, plot really doesn't matter much in a movie like this, especially when you have such a fantastic scene like the hangar scene at the end of this movie. It's one of the best action scenes I think we've ever covered.
Jaws / humanoid, he throws a beam and cuts off 4 guys' heads in one throw. There's a quadruple decapitation in that scene. I was like, holy crap.
I don't often give a standing ovation to a movie that I'm watching alone, but I certainly did after that scene. I mean, even Robo-Dog is just straight up killing people.
Yeah, Robo-Dog's kicking ass.
All of this culminates into a fight between Hero Man and Sex Shop Vader, which is just hilarious to me because the movie's not really done anything to set up any kind of tension between them.
But then, whoa, what's Sex Shop Vader's ability?
Oh, wow. Well, he presses a button on his chest and his hands become lightsabers, I guess?
He has karate chop sabers.
As soon as I saw those, I was like, wow, they're going to have to come up with something pretty clever for our hero to be able to take out the bad guy if he's got literal lightsaber hands. But no, Jaws just comes up behind him and squeezes him until he disappears for some reason.
Yeah, and I'm like, is that meant to be like Obi-Wan in Star Wars? He disappeared when Vader beat him? Maybe?
I can literally hear you trailing off, Nathan, as your brain breaks trying to make sense of this movie, hey? If you're not careful, you're going to be lumbering around like the bloody humanoid. Interestingly, Jaws actually saves the day. What does he do?
Grabs the rocket and he runs and jumps into the lake where he originally got blown up, and you think he sacrificed himself, but then he comes out, facial hair regrown, back to his normal self.
Golob, how wonderful, you're still alive.
And then, of course, we get another little rant from Tom Tom.
Tom Tom starts waffling on again. He's like, listen to your heartbeat and you'll hear my name. I'm like, okay, yeah, Tom Tom, I get it. And then a ice boat?
Crystal ship or something? I don't know, yeah. To be fair, my copy's like VHS quality. I could barely see what was going on.
It was like an ice swan boat ship thing
with the two arches on it.
With the two arches on it. And then he just joins them. He phases out and joins them. And they fly away and it ends.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Wait a minute, you're forgetting the best detail. Tom Tom is of another time and place, apparently.
That's right, yeah.
Like, it's not said 100%, but it's implied that maybe he's a time traveler, but where's he going back to?
Going back to the sacred land of Tibet.
Yep, apparently he's a Tibetan monk, and that means you can summon minions. Honestly, it's so friggin' weird, I felt like it broke my brain when I watched it. I'm sure if I wasn't used to this kind of thing, I'd probably burst into tears out of frustration.
You're crying. That is the most vital sign of all. Your humanity is returning.
So would you recommend this movie, Chris?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the beginning and the end are really fun and schlocky, but I will say that middle section when the humanoid is first introduced is really boring.
Yeah, it really died off in the middle. I was like, oh god, no. It's going to be one of those movies where the start's great and it's just dull.
But even with that, I do think the highs make up for the lows, but maybe I'm in the minority here. What do you think? Would you recommend it?
I actually would recommend it because it also only goes for like 90 minutes. Like, I tried to watch A New Hope recently with my family, and they were bored because a lot of nothing happens in New Hope, but it's building story and whatnot, you know what I mean? Where in this, a lot of nothing happens, but then there's a quadruple decapitation, so, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that just makes it pure world-class cinema. I mean, like, obviously this film is a rip-off of Star Wars, but I would argue it's not even the most embarrassing thing related to Star Wars, hey?